Hi guys, what's up? We are back and we are getting to almost the end. Actually, this is the end of it. So last time, let me go ahead and run this. Last time we ran this. We were doing the edit screen, and let me go ahead and run it first. And we were to the point where we had set up already everything that we needed, just to kind of lay the ground, for to make sure that we can get stuff updated. But we're going to do a little bit of refactoring on our code that we did previously, because I actually want to show you a different way to do forms. I forgot that I already showed you how to do a regular straightforward form from the creation part, the create task form. And this one, I actually want to show you how to use reactive forms. So this is a different way to deal with forms, and I think it's always a good thing to understand and know how it works. So we're gonna use that for the reactive part. So let's go ahead and make sure that this is kind of working the way we had it, and it still works. So we're going to move some things around. So the first thing we're going to do, let's see, we're going to go to the app module. Let's just get that out of the way first, and because there's something you're going to need, and this for some reason is missing in a lot of tutorials. I don't know why people don't mention this, but this is something that you'll eventually find it actually in Stack Overflow. Once you get an error, then you'll figure it out. It's like, oh, why, because I needed that. So we're gonna need something here, and it's called Reactive Forms module, that one right there. So you're gonna do that, and you're gonna copy it, and you're gonna bring it. Make sure you don't put it in the declaration. This is only for components, okay? Make sure you come to the imports, and you can put it anywhere you want underneath the form modules, just fine. Doesn't matter, you can put it anywhere you want, and go ahead and put it there and hit save. And just to be sure, after this is done compiling, just stop the server and restart it again, just because this is a pretty dense type of so let's hit Control C. Hopefully I didn't copy or paste anything. No. All right, and then ng serve. Yeah, restart it again. So yeah, this is a pretty dense type of system that you're now activating inside of Angular. So it's better if you have the server actually rebuild the entire thing. Okay. All right. So now that that's done, you can close out the modules, and we're going to go to the edit task component, and we are going to be dealing specifically. Let me see. Do we need anything in the task item? We don't need anything here. No, we're not gonna need anything there either. So we're just gonna strictly just work in the edit tasks component. So we're gonna go to the edit task component, and we're gonna do a couple of things here. So first thing we're going to do is we're gonna bring in our form stuff. So you're gonna need a few things. So you're gonna need your form builder, and you're gonna need your form control, and you're going to need the form group. There you go, form group, form builder, form control, form group. Okay. Then let me open some space here, take that space out, and then usually I like to put it at the top here, but it doesn't really matter where. I'm gonna set up my form right there. So I'm gonna call this one edit task form. Just gonna call it like that, edit task form. And I'm gonna typecast it because this is TypeScript. I'm gonna typecast it to a form builder. I'm sorry, not form builder, form group. And that is going to be a new form group. All right. So and it's gonna be sure that it's empty there, because we're going to extend it later. We're just initializing it as an empty form, okay, for right now. Now, just so that doesn't give us any problems, we're going to now go jump over to the edit task over here, and we're going to refactor a couple of things up here. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to add a form group. So we're going to use a directive for a form group, and that form group is going to be called edit task group. I think we called it edit task form. Okay. All right. And now a couple of things that are going to change here now. Because we use a form group now, and this is going to be a reactive form, now things are going to be a little bit different. You're going to be using now, instead of name, it's going to be called form control name. Okay, so you're just going to change that, and the engine model is no longer going to be of use. In fact, it's going to give you an error. So make sure you click that off, change the day name to that, and take the ng model, and same thing for the reminder, and take that off. All right, let me make sure that everything is copacetic. Yeah, everything seems to be looking fine. All right, so go ahead and save that, and now we're about to, things are going to disappear. So, but no worries, we're gonna bring it back. All right, just wait for this to compile. Okay, that's good. It doesn't matter if it went away. We're gonna redo this a little bit differently now. All right, so now that we have that, we need to bring in a couple of those, the phone builder service that we just added. So private, and then we're gonna call this FB for short for form builder. You're gonna see that used a lot in the industry. FB is, a lot of people use it as like that, so it's fine. Sometimes it's a good idea to do what everybody does, that way it's just easier that way. All right, and so now that the form builder is done, next thing we're going to do, let me make sure here that I have everything set up correctly. Okay, so yep, I think we are now getting ready to actually bring in some of this stuff. All right, so one thing that I want to do here, that I want to change is so I want to change a couple of things here. So this right here, the task service right now, that how we get our task is coming in from our, it's pulling our task ID, and it's doing a subscribe. Okay, so when you do a subscribe, I'm actually going to change this, because when you do a subscribe, you're doing a continuous call to the server to constantly watch the observable and see if things are changing. But we don't want to do this in this case. We only want to do this if we're doing like a get on the homepage, for example, because those things will change, as more people in other computers are adding to this, and but in this case, you're basically just changing this once, and you're pulling it once, and you're gonna change it once and put it back. So it shouldn't have to do a continuous call when there's nothing else that is gonna come. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this. We're gonna bring it down here to this, and we're going to change this to a to promise instead, and we're going to do that. And then we're going to call a then. So as you can see, things changed a little bit here now, right? And so let me bring that data up here, because kind of things are just kind of looking a little different now. Let's get rid of this for now. Let's get rid of that. So now what we're doing is we're getting rid of that as well. We're gonna do an object instead. So you're making a promise. You're making a promise call, so it's kind of like an async await type of deal, and then you're gonna get a promise back. Basically, when you make this call, you're gonna get a promise back, and whenever you get a promise back, usually, so it's gonna be down here. Well, that's gonna be later. So let's see, you're gonna get a promise back, which is, this is going to close here. Let me see, because I am making sure here that I have set up correctly that I am closing in the right places. So this, oh, okay, so this is, okay, so this goes here. That's why it's confusing me. All right, so that goes there. And then whenever you do a then call, you should also make a catch at the same time, a catch call, so that if there are any errors, you'll be able to catch them and find out what they are. And then we're just gonna basically catch the error, and then we're just gonna console log it. And that's basically all you need to do. So this is kind of like the proper way of doing a promise call, right? So now we're gonna work in here. This is where we're actually going to make this. So we already have a task object that we created, okay? So we're gonna bring this task object in here, and what we're going to do inside this data is we're gonna assign the data that we're gonna bring back from the promise to that object. So this task equals to data. Now, I don't know if you were in the last video, if you were here in the last video, and hope you were. This part right here was the part that confused me because I was trying to console log data. It can get me undefined. I couldn't figure out for the life of me what was going on. And so if I do it now and I inspect my console here and wait for it to do its thing, so you can see here that I am at the one position, right? Don't worry about this stuff here. Let me just go ahead and clear this out and do it. Yeah, don't worry about that stuff. And you can see here that I am bringing back the ID title. So the actual data is coming back from the API. So this is working fine, okay? That's what I kind of expected, and I don't know why it wasn't working the last time. All right, I think I was just calling in data instead of this task, and it was just, I guess it wasn't available yet. All right, so speaking wasn't available yet, we may run into something quickly here later here, so we'll see when we get there. All right, so now so what we're going to do now is we're going to actually we're going to build the form. Now that we have the data, we're going to build it. So we have this what is it, this edit task form right here. So we're going to grab that. Yep, we're going to grab that, and we're going to say this edit task form, yeah, this edit task form equals to this form builder Facebook. I always call it Facebook because it's FB, but it's actually form builder. And group, so it's gonna look like that. We're gonna make a new group, and then we're going to open it up so we can actually start adding stuff in there, okay? So we're going to build a group, we're going to build a form by basically calling in all of the props, all of these props in here that we are containing inside here, which is the title, date, and reminder. So we're gonna make one for title, and that title is going to be a new form control, and we're going to assign to this form control, we're gonna assign the data that we got back from here that we assigned it to this, but we're assigning not obviously the entire thing, just the title part of that task. And just like we did this, we're gonna do it to all of them. Comma and comma, and then we're gonna do day, and here control D so you can get them both selected, reminder. There you go. So we've already successfully basically attached this piece of data that is coming from the task object, from this task object, to the title in there, okay? And create it, basically build the form. So if we hit enter, wait for it to do its little thing. Come on, anytime. We see now that we're getting some data back. We got the date, and we got the reminder also loading, but we don't have the name. So this is where I said that we might run into something, and I want you to see it later. But if we look at the console, we are still getting our stuff. So I mean, technically we are getting it, it is available. It's just not available in the DOM yet, and it's kind of weird that Angular does that. So we're going to create a new thing, a new variable, if you will, up here, so that it's going to be waiting for the data to be available before it loads. We're going to call it DataLoaded, and it's going to be a Boolean, type, and we're going to initialize it to false. Okay, all right. And now that we have there, copy that, and then let's go to the edit task here in the front. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this form into a div. And then that div is going to have an ngIf. It's going to be conditionally. And basically it's going to say if the data is loaded, tab that in. Actually bring the whole thing back out like that. There we go. So now we're saying if the data is loaded, show the form. If not, then just don't load it, just wait. Okay, so you're gonna save that. It's fine, it's gonna work. It's gonna go away. Actually, the form is gonna go away because it's basically false at the time. Well, it's actually gonna break. All right, and now what we're gonna go is we're gonna go to the ng-own init, and before anything happens, we're gonna do data loaded. We're gonna initialize it to false, and then we're going to then after the building of the form, we're going to bring it back up to true. We're gonna make it true again, and we're gonna hit enter, and it's gonna recompile. We're almost done. And now you can see that the data is coming back fully. So if we go back, we already did that one. Let's go to the number 2, meeting at school. You can see it. Supplies, shopping, you can see it. Everything works fine. All right. So this catches us up back to where we were in the last video, but with using reactive forms. Okay. So now we're going to work on so we can close this edit task. Actually, we're going to work on the task service because we have to create a new update, a new task for the what do you call it, for our edit task. Let me make sure that I have my notes here. I gotta keep checking on my notes because I don't want to have to I don't memorize anything. This is another thing actually I should have brought up before at the very beginning of everything. You shouldn't really memorize any type of code or work that you do. Some things you do memorize, like some things that go together and things like that. That's fine, but you should not be able to memorize everything. You shouldn't, because every build, every website, every project, everything is going to be unique. Everything is going to have its own way of doing things and its own logic. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to drive you nuts if you try to remember everything. Okay, so that's why I have my notes so that I can don't forget anything. It's kind of like a script, like a movie script, and I can see it and it's like, okay, I need to talk about this now because it will make sense better if I talk about it now than rather later. Okay, and you don't want me to just be like 15 minutes here figuring things out. All right, so now we're gonna create a new update, and we're gonna call this an edit task. So it's gonna be very similar to this. So I'm just gonna actually grab that and put it right here. Now you're starting to see a pattern. You see how I got my get requests all here, I got my delete request here, my updates and my posts. Do that, okay? Trust me, somebody will appreciate it. And we're gonna call this edit task. That's going to be the function inside my service that is gonna edit my task. And just like we did here where we brought the ID, because we're dealing with a specific task, we're going to do the exact same thing here. We're gonna bring in the ID, and this time let's just typecast it to any, just so we don't run into any issues later. And we're gonna typecast the task to task because that's fine, and we're still gonna be an observable, so it's fine. I guess it doesn't have to be an observable, so I'm not subscribing to it. Let's not worry about it. I wonder. Let's not see what happens. Okay. If anything, I can always put it back. But I believe that it's not an observable. All right, and then in the return, it's still going to be a put. It's still going to be a task object that I'm putting. And then the API root, then the only thing is going to change is it's not going to be the task ID, it's going to be the ID itself. All right, so now we are passing, actually, we are passing the ID, we're passing the ID, the task, and the, okay, actually all of this works. So we're going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to keep this open because I may have to put that observable back if it yells at me, but I really don't think it will. So let's wait for it to finish generating, and we're gonna go back down to the edit component again one more time to work on our unsubmit. Okay, we're gonna delete this, we don't need that. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to make call to the task. Why is this not? Oh, duh. There you go. This task service, and then we're going to call our edit task function that we just created, and then in there we're gonna need 3. If you can see right here, the edit task takes 3. It does say that it's unobservable. That's weird. You know what? I'm confusing this promise. Never mind. We do need the observable. Let's put that back. Let's put that back in there, and yep. I am so sorry. I confused this to promise here, which is different. This is from the get. Okay, so technically this one may be the one that doesn't need this one up here may not need an observable after all. So, but we'll leave it there since it's not really hurting anything. But right now, this one does. This one will need an observable. Now, if I go over here and I click on it, I see that this ID was not provided because, I had to fill it out. So I'm going to pass in this task ID. This task ID. So this task ID right here is basically this data ID that we're assigning to it. So that's fine. We're passing this task ID, and then the next thing that you have to send, if you can see here, it tells you how to construct it. The next thing is going to be this edit task form value, which is going to be the values that are inside this edit task form after you build it. And then you're gonna hit save to save it, and I believe this will be the last step. Or actually, we have to subscribe to it. The last thing you have to do is subscribe. There you go. And now you can hit enter. And that will be the end of it. We're gonna test it out, make sure it works. So while that is compiling, go ahead and open up your DB.json here, and we'll take a look at this last one here. We're gonna change. So you come over here, click on it, you have it showing, and then we're gonna say supplies shoppings. We're gonna say supplies, medical supplies shopping, and we're gonna submit the changes. And you see here how it changed to medical supplies shopping, and there was a put request to it. So if I go back, you're gonna see the medical supplies shopping is also sticking because it's showing there. Let's go back over here again, and let's do it now on the next one. It's going to be on the 8th, and that changed, as you can see, and we're not going to read reminder of it, so that's false, and everything is work. So go back. Let's go ahead and make sure that everything works now. So this one is going to be a new task, so it's going to be check work, and it's due by today, and make sure you set a reminder. And here it is, check work today. And let's go ahead and also change it to tomorrow and save it and go back, and there it is, tomorrow. And I'm gonna remind it. I'm gonna be reminded of all of them, make sure that that sticks, sure, and then I'm going to delete it because I don't really need it anymore, and I'm gonna say yes, it's gone, refresh, it's gone. Cool. All right, guys, that was all. That is the end of it. I want to thank you for just sticking with this, and I know I don't have the best voice for radio and it's kind of annoying. I hate my own voice, but it's I'm just glad that I got to work with you guys, and I'm just glad that I got to help you guys out. So if I did help you out, let me know, and I'm sure that a lot of you that are watching this are really smart and geniuses out there, and you're probably looking at it like, oh my god, like I could have done this, I could have done that. I'm sure there's a lot more that it could be done, but this is at a basic level of a CRUD system inside of Angular. However, if you want to give it a try, I'll be more than glad to go check out your tutorial as well and see what else you've done. Now, as far as you guys that are learning, take your time, take this completely the way it is, and put it in a different project, different folder, and start a new one all over again, and try to do it by kind of like figuring out by yourself what comes next. And then when you get lost, open this and check it out. Okay, don't try to just like replicate. When you're learning something, you shouldn't learn word by word and everything one step. That's not how programming works. Programming doesn't work by learning anything by memory. You're gonna fail. You have to understand it. You have to apply logic. You have to think. You have to spend time putting the puzzle together and see what works. And for that to happen, you have to understand how these pieces actually work themselves. It's like you don't memorize that you need a hammer and a pliers and a set of pliers and a saw, right? You understand what a hammer does, and then you understand what a saw does, and you understand what a set of pliers does. And then when you go put a nail in, you don't grab the saw, you grab the hammer. And you don't grab the hammer and do this with the hammer, right? You do this with the hammer. So everything takes, everything is all about knowing how it gets put together and what it does, and if it's gonna even be the right tool for the job, and then how to use it correctly. Okay? All right, guys, that's all I have, and I may do one more of these in Vue. I may not. I am kind of busy right now, so I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.